Hi everybody and welcome back to Harry's Music Room. This video is going to be about alternative country music, or alt country, Americana, roots, whatever, got numerous names. I think one of the earliest bands you could think of that really would be considered alternative country would have been the Band. Um, just so many iconic songs with country flair to them that also mixed rock and country together. So that's one of my earliest albums of alt country. When it comes to alt country songwriters, there are probably none better than Townes Van Zandt. Uh, just fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Townes. Great Texas songwriter. Died way too young. Another one from Texas, Guy Clark. Between Guy and Townes, you don't really need anybody else. These are just fantastic songwriters. Wrote some amazing songs. Guy Clark was also a luthier and has built many guitars. One of my favorite artists right there, Guy Clark. Another one from Texas, Nanci Griffith. She was such a diehard Texan that she always wore a picture of or not a picture, but a button of LBJ on her guitar strap. Had a chance to see Nanci 3 or 4 times. I love her music. Check out her, if you've never heard her, check out an album called Other Voices, Other Rooms, where she does songs by other artists. And in many cases, the songwriter joins her on the songs. Rodney Crowell, great alt country guy, son-in-law of Johnny Cash for a while. This is one of his more recent albums, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Just love Rodney Crowell's voice. And Steve Earle. Can't say enough good things about Steve. I probably have every record he's done, I think. Troubled life. I think he's been married, I think he said 7 times. Twice to the same woman because the divorce didn't work out. And then his son, Justin Townes Earle. What a tragedy here. Lost him way too young. Kind of followed his father's footsteps and got involved with drugs and addiction, and we just gone far too soon. Great young songwriter. And then from Australia, we have Casey Chambers. Casey grew up in the outback, lived in, their family lived in their vehicles, and then would just drive around the outback and survive off the land. And they would build a fire at night, and her dad would sit around the fire and play guitar and sing old country songs. And that's how she learned. And she's fabulous. Check her out. This particular song, The Captain, was used in an episode of The Sopranos. And then another great songwriter, John Hyatt. This particular one is signed. It was a Barnes & Noble exclusive. This album is really good. If you're even, just a little bit of a fan of John Hyatt, I would recommend this album. Yeah, John Hyatt and the Jerry Douglas Band. Another fantastic guitar player and singer. I love his voice. Dave Alvin. Man, I've seen Dave maybe a dozen times and never seen a bad show. Just fantastic. He and his brother were in the Blasters together, Phil Alvin. But again, if you have not heard anything by Dave Alvin, this is a really good album to start with. Whiskeytown. Amazing album. Just fantastic. Ryan Adams' early band. So many good songs. Such a great songwriter. These songs, I think he was only in his early 20s when he was writing these songs, and they're just so personal and beyond his years. Check out a song called Houses on the Hill. And you can't talk about alt country without talking about Graham Parsons. I think just about everybody knows Graham's story. Played with the Byrds, a good friend of the Rolling Stones. As a matter of fact, many people will argue the point that Graham Parsons probably wrote the song Wild Horses. He passed away before the Stones recorded it. And from Graham Parsons, we go to the International Submarine Band, which was kind of a rock, kind of a country thing. Original copies of this go for a big money. But this was a reissue, and I really like this album, reissue by Sundays. International Submarine Band with Graham Parsons. And then, of course, he's with Flying Burrito Brothers as well. And then we have Lyle Lovett, who really took country music and added almost a big band, almost a Texas swing kind of feel to it. But I put him in with the alt country crowd. This one I had him sign at the Paramount Theater in Seattle. One another Texas songwriter that I'm a big fan of, Ray Wylie Hubbard. Ray Wylie wrote some songs you're probably familiar with. Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother, that's his song. This is a very good album. He's got a lot of guest stars on this. He's got Ringo Starr, Don Was, Joe Walsh, Chris Robinson, just a whole bunch of people playing with him on these songs, and it's called Co-Starring. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. If you ever go to a show to see him, he has no problem meeting his fans, and he's just a really nice guy. Hayes Carl. Hayes and Ray Wylie are kind of tight, and Ray's a big supporter of Hayes, and Hayes really come a long way from his start. He's got some really good songs. Drunken Poet's Dream. I love Hayes' music. I probably have 3 or 4 different albums of his, and more on CD. All these artists, I have many more titles on CD. Probably the hottest thing in music right now, in all country music, Jason Isbell. Fantastic songwriter. Just an amazing band. He's got the 400 unit. The 400 unit was the code for the mental hospital, or the mental ward at a hospital near where Jason lived. This was one that I bought at one of his concerts, and he sold them out at the merch table signed. And then, as a matter of fact, I saw Jason Isbell and Justin Townsend together at the Showbox in Seattle. And then Jason's wife is Amanda Shires. Amanda's a fiddle player. She's got a great voice. Reminds me a little bit of Dolly Parton, but she's a good songwriter in her own right. And fun fact, Amanda Shires and Rod Picott have both done house concerts for my wife and I, and have played here twice and spent the night here, so I can say I've had a couple of famous people spend the night at our house. Rod Picott, great songwriter, and not just a songwriter, but he writes novels as well. Rod grew up writing songs with his best friend Slade Cleaves. And Slade Cleaves, this is the only album of his I have on vinyl. Check out an album of his called Broke Down. A lot of the songs were co-written with Rod Picop. Slade is based out of, I believe, Austin, and Rod is based out of Nashville. James McMurtry, great band, great songwriter. His father wrote Lonesome Dove. Yeah, good live show. If you ever get the chance to see him in concert, go. One of my all-time favorites, bar none, Doug Sahm. Doug Sahm was in the, he's had numerous bands and different formations of bands. Texas Tornadoes, Sir Douglas Quintet. If you've heard the song "She's About a Mover" by the Sir Douglas Quintet, that's Doug Sahm. And Doug did an album with a bunch of his friends. And on this album, you have Bob Dylan, Dr. John, David Bromberg, and others. Fun album, good album. This is out, it's on colored vinyl. It came out with Real Gone Music did a reissue of it. But this is a fun album. And then back in the day of Rolling Stone magazine, early Rolling Stone magazine, if you subscribed for a year, they would send you a free record album. And it was usually Cat Stevens' Teaser and the Firecat or this album. Again, another Doug Sahm record. And then for the last two, David Rawlings, and this is Gillian Welch. This is the David Rawlings Machine. I had a chance to see David Rawlings Machine on tour from the front row when Old Crow Medicine Show was his band, his backing band. This guitar, I'm going to leave a link below if I can find the story. Amazing story about this guitar. Really, just take the time to look at the article when I post. If I can find it, I'll post it below. It was basically dust. I mean, there was almost nothing there but a shell, and he found it in somewhere, and he said, hey, can you put to this luthier that had it, can you put this thing back together and make it playable? And it's been his go-to guitar for years. And then from David Rawlings, we go to Gillian Welch. David Rawlings and Gillian Welch always play together. Fantastic set here. They bought their own record pressing machine. They have their own label. They make sure the recordings are the way they want them. They make sure the pressings are the way they want them. Just fantastic stuff. Their label is Acony, A-C-O-N-Y, but audiophile, 100% audiophile pressings on their stuff. Oh, and then I do have two more. Tony Joe White, love his music. It might be considered maybe almost New Orleans style, some of it Cajun maybe, but Southern rock, I don't know. But I lump him in the alt country vein. And then the last one, Lucinda Williams, fantastic songwriter, performer, artist. Unfortunately, she's having some medical issues now. I believe she had a stroke and is no longer able to play the guitar, but she's still putting out music, still doing the vocals, and they're good. They're good. She's got a series called Lucinda's Jukebox, I think, where she does all cover songs. She's done a Dylan album. She's done a Tom Petty album. And this was a indie exclusive that she signed for some stores. So that's my sampling of my collection of alt country artists and record albums. Um, Probably some people in there you haven't heard of. Fred Eaglesmith. I don't have anything of his on vinyl, but I have a lot of his stuff on CD. Another good songwriter. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you saw some stuff that piqued your interest, and maybe you'll go listen to it and check it out. And thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. That's much appreciated. And until next time, ciao.